They say the past never truly leaves you, that your mistakes cling to your shadow long after the lights fade. In the cold streets of Chicago in 2016, a man's reputation was shattered, his freedom stolen by choices that would haunt him for the rest of his life. But what happens when that same man, once feared for his crimes, steps into the world not as a threat, but as a guide, a counselor for those who walk the path he once walked? Could redemption truly exist for someone the world had already condemned? Tonight, we explore a story that is as chilling as it is inspiring, a journey through the darkest corridors of criminal life to the unexpected light of hope, healing, and second chances. Disclaimer: content is for awareness and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion advised. In 2016, Daniel Harper was a name whispered in Chicago neighborhoods, not for courage, not for heroism, but for fear. His involvement in local gangs, theft, and violent confrontations had earned him a prison sentence that would change the course of his life. Inside the cold, steel-lined walls of Cook County Jail, Daniel faced something far more terrifying than the court verdict: himself. The story of Daniel is not just one of crime, but of human frailty, the consequences of choices, and the relentless struggle between despair and hope. Every day in prison, Daniel watched as younger inmates repeated the same patterns he once followed, and slowly, an idea began to take shape in his mind. What if someone who had been there could show them a different way? Could someone like him help others avoid the mistakes that almost destroyed him? As he began to take small steps, mentoring, listening, offering guidance, the world he once ruled through fear began to feel a little lighter, a little more meaningful. But change, especially in a world built on mistrust and survival, is never straightforward. Daniel faced skepticism, threats, and the constant pull of his former life. Could someone with a criminal record truly be trusted to counsel troubled youths? Could he survive the scrutiny of both inmates and guards while forging a new identity? The tension grew each day, every interaction a test of courage, patience, and authenticity. As Daniel's story unfolds, we witness his confrontations with rival gang members, moments of shocking betrayal, and the slow but undeniable emergence of respect and hope. His journey from feared criminal to counselor for the next generation is filled with suspense, raw human emotion, and life lessons that will leave viewers questioning what justice, mercy, and redemption really mean. But just as it seemed that Daniel's path was finally becoming clear, a new challenge emerged. A crisis that would test everything he had worked for and push him to the very edge of his courage and morality. What would he do when faced with a choice that could either destroy his newfound life or solidify his redemption forever? The answers lie in the next part of this gripping true crime redemption story. If this story has captured your attention so far, comment "Redemption Rising." Share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVC for more real-life shocking and inspiring stories. And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. The first weeks of Daniel Harper's new role as a mentor inside Cook County Jail were anything but easy. The walls around him were thick with tension, the air heavy with mistrust. Every word he spoke, every gesture he made was scrutinized. Fellow inmates remembered the man he had been. The reputation he carried for violence and cunning didn't vanish with good intentions. Even the guards were wary, monitoring his interactions with a cautious eye. Yet, in the midst of suspicion, Daniel found purpose. He began small. A conversation here, a listening ear there. He noticed the patterns repeating themselves, the frustration, the anger, the cycles of violence mirrored across young faces, eyes wide with fear and defiance. These were lives teetering on the edge, trapped in a system they didn't understand, and a society that had largely written them off. Daniel's own story had once mirrored theirs, and he understood that mere lectures or punishment would never reach them. Redemption, he realized, had to be lived, not preached. As he shared his story, something unexpected happened. Walls began to crack. A young man named Marcus, only 19, cautiously approached him one afternoon, asking for advice after being threatened by a rival group. Daniel saw himself in Marcus, angry, desperate, and isolated. He offered guidance, not judgment, teaching Marcus strategies to survive without escalating violence. The impact was immediate but fragile. In the tension-filled environment of prison, trust could be shattered in an instant. Outside, Daniel's reputation began to shift, but not without cost. Old allies saw his new path as betrayal. Rival factions viewed him as weak. Threats followed him like shadows through the corridors. One night, a confrontation escalated dangerously. A knife flashed, a life hung in the balance, and Daniel had to make a split-second choice: revert to the man he used to be, or uphold the path of guidance and restraint he was forging. That night, his decision marked a turning point, not just for him, but for everyone who was starting to see him as a beacon in the chaos. Yet even as he gained influence and began helping others navigate the perilous life of incarceration, external pressures loomed. Family members, victims, and the community outside questioned whether a man like Daniel could truly change. Could someone who had caused so much harm genuinely offer hope to others? Could redemption survive the weight of skepticism, anger, and the past that refused to fade quietly into memory? As Daniel continued his mission, another unexpected development shook him to his core, an opportunity to extend his mentorship beyond the walls of the jail. But with it came risk, exposure, judgment, and the constant threat of relapse into the life he had fought so hard to leave behind. Could he survive the scrutiny and lead others without losing himself? The answers would unfold in the next chapter of his extraordinary journey. If this story has moved you so far, comment "Redemption Rising," share it with anyone who needs hope and guidance, subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVC for more true crime and inspiring real-life stories, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. By the 6th month of his mentorship program, Daniel Harper had earned a fragile but growing respect within the walls of Cook County Jail. Inmates who once regarded him with suspicion now came to him for advice, guidance, and sometimes simply a listening ear. The small office where he held weekly sessions became a sanctuary of honesty and raw emotion, a place where men could confront the shadows of their past without fear of ridicule or retribution. One story that haunted Daniel more than any other was that of Anthony "Tony" Morales, a former gang affiliate who had spent a decade behind bars for armed robbery. Tony was bitter, resentful, and convinced that life had dealt him an unfair hand. Daniel saw in Tony a reflection of the man he had once been: prideful, volatile, and ready to lash out at anyone who threatened his fragile sense of control. Over weeks of patient conversation, Daniel slowly chipped away at Tony's defenses. He shared how confronting his own misdeeds had been the most terrifying yet liberating experience of his life. The transformation was neither immediate nor guaranteed. There were moments when Tony refused to cooperate, lashing out in anger, testing Daniel's patience, and questioning his motives. But Daniel had learned a lesson long before. Change is never linear, and real growth often comes wrapped in struggle. Slowly, Tony began to listen, to consider, and ultimately to reflect. One afternoon, after a tense session, Tony admitted he had been given a second chance he never thought possible, and he intended to use it. However, not every story within the walls was one of redemption. Daniel witnessed betrayals, fights, and heartbreak that served as stark reminders of the life he had once led. A sudden altercation in the yard sent 2 inmates to the infirmary, leaving Daniel shaken and questioning whether his presence was enough to counteract the ever-present danger surrounding them. Could one man truly influence so many, in a place where survival often overshadowed morality? Could mercy prevail in a world fueled by suspicion, past grudges, and the unforgiving logic of prison life? As Daniel's influence grew, the external world began to take notice. Community organizations, rehabilitative programs, and even media outlets approached him, curious about the former criminal who had turned his life around. Offers to speak, to mentor beyond the prison walls, and to expand his reach were tempting, but fraught with potential setbacks. Every decision carried weight, every action was scrutinized, and one misstep could undo years of careful work. Amid all this, Daniel faced the most personal challenge yet: reconnecting with his estranged family. Trust, once broken, is not easily restored. His mother, siblings, and even old friends watched with cautious optimism, uncertain if the man they had feared and mourned could truly be the mentor and counselor he claimed to be. Would Daniel's past forever overshadow his present? Could he reconcile the man he had been with the man he was striving to become? If this journey has gripped you so far, comment "second chances." Share this story with those seeking inspiration or redemption. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVC for more true crime and real-life transformation stories, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter. The following months brought Daniel Harper face to face with the complexities of systemic injustice. He began to see patterns he had never noticed before. Young men caught in cycles of poverty, violence, and neglect, many of whom had committed petty crimes that escalated into serious offenses simply because no one had intervened early enough. Daniel's mentorship sessions shifted focus. It was no longer just about individual redemption, but also about understanding the environment that had shaped these men and finding ways to break the cycle. One case that struck him profoundly was that of Jamal Rivers, a 22-year-old serving a 5-year sentence for a robbery gone wrong. Jamal had grown up in Chicago's South Side, surrounded by gangs and poverty, with no father figure to guide him. He reminded Daniel painfully of his own teenage years. Jamal resisted advice, argued that life had already written his story, and scoffed at the idea of rehabilitation. Yet, Daniel refused to give up. He shared his own journey, the despair, the prison cell, and the painstaking work it took to reclaim his life. Slowly, Jamal began to listen. Outside the prison walls, Daniel's influence began to ripple. Local nonprofits invited him to speak at youth centers and schools, sharing his story as a cautionary tale and a beacon of hope. His words carried weight precisely because they came from experience. Parents, educators, and law enforcement officers alike took note of his unique perspective. The man who had lived the life of a criminal now advocated for prevention, guidance, and compassion. Despite these successes, setbacks were inevitable. An unexpected riot in the yard left several inmates injured, and Daniel found himself mediating disputes he couldn't control. Critics questioned whether a former criminal truly had the authority to guide others, and some of the men he tried to help grew frustrated, unable to trust fully in his intentions. Each challenge tested Daniel's patience, resolve, and faith in his mission. Could one man's conviction withstand the sheer weight of systemic failure and human resistance? Could he continue to inspire hope when surrounded by so much despair? Yet the breakthroughs came, often quietly, in moments that seemed almost ordinary. Tony Morales wrote a letter expressing gratitude. Jamal showed genuine remorse and commitment to change, and other inmates began stepping up as peer mentors under Daniel's guidance. Each small victory reinforced a powerful truth Daniel had learned long ago. Redemption is not a singular act, but a series of choices made daily, in the face of doubt, fear, and history. The question lingered. How far could one man's courage stretch? Could Daniel's work in this confined, harsh world create lasting change beyond the prison walls? The answers would unfold in ways he could never predict, challenging him, inspiring him, and forever altering the lives around him. If this story has touched you so far, comment "Redemption Path." Share this story with anyone in need of hope or guidance. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVC for more real-life, gripping, emotional crime narratives, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the final part. The final months of Daniel Harper's journey inside the prison walls were marked not by grand gestures, but by quiet, transformative moments. He witnessed inmates slowly embracing accountability, learning to articulate regrets, and taking small but significant steps towards self-improvement. Daniel became more than a mentor. He became a living testament that change was possible, even for those society had written off. Jamal Rivers, once defiant and bitter, now stood as a symbol of that transformation. Under Daniel's guidance, he enrolled in educational programs, volunteered for peer mediation, and began mentoring younger inmates who reminded him of his past. Watching Jamal evolve, Daniel realized that the ripple effect of genuine guidance was stronger than he had ever imagined. Each life touched, each attitude shifted, reinforced the profound truth he had long carried. The path to redemption is paved with patience, consistency, and empathy. Daniel's own release approached, and with it, a new chapter. He had spent years helping others navigate the treacherous journey from darkness into light, and now it was time to face the world as a free man. His reputation as a counselor and advocate had grown beyond the prison walls, attracting attention from community leaders, nonprofits, and reform advocates. Yet, he never lost sight of humility. He knew that every success story he had witnessed was not a product of his effort alone, but a collaboration of courage, opportunity, and faith in human potential. On the day of his release, Daniel walked through the gates, a mixture of relief and resolve settling over him. The streets outside were no longer intimidating but charged with possibility. His mission had expanded, to extend the lessons learned behind bars into communities at risk, to advocate for justice tempered with mercy, and to inspire a generation that too often felt trapped by circumstance. His past, once a source of shame, now empowered him to speak authentically about resilience, choices, and transformation. The question that lingered, both for him and those following his journey, was profound. Can one life truly influence another so deeply that cycles of crime and despair are broken? Daniel's story suggested that the answer was yes, but only if courage met opportunity, and only if hope refused to surrender. If this story has moved you, comment, "Redemption wins." Share it with anyone who needs a reminder that change is possible. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVC for more raw, emotional, and inspiring true crime narratives. And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next gripping story. This is Crime Chronicles TVC, your daily dose of real crime stories. Stay tuned for more gripping tales of justice, betrayal, and survival that will keep you on the edge of your seat.